What's up guys, Nolan here, and yesterday we got a very solid gameplay patch in Escape from Tarkov. This new patch is not without its issues though, so remember to send in good bug reports if you think you found something. It looks like one of the new features around networking is not working properly, so BSG have asked that everybody keep this setting to default for the time being. It also seems like some of the scopes in some lighting situations are darker than they should be, especially on Interchange again, so keep that in mind. When it comes to DLSS, there is a lot, and I do mean a lot of people that have no idea what it is or how it works. BSG have been trying to tell everybody from the start, but it doesn't get through to everybody. So here is the skinny on what to do with DLSS. Now, I am no expert, but I have been working on this for 2 days now and have asked around the community to come to the conclusion that DLSS is not just some free frames that anybody can access. So if you have a high to a very high-end PC, you actually have a good chance of having better quality gameplay without having DLSS on. DLSS seems to be a feature that many people just don't end up needing, and we're going to talk through all of that. First things first, if you don't have an RTX card from Nvidia or play in an at least 2560 by 1440 resolution, aka not 1080p resolution, then this won't matter to you. Just skip this because DLSS is not going to be available for you. Also, if you don't have an Nvidia card, they are working on FSR for AMD cards, so SoonTM on that one. The setup for DLSS is described clearly in the patch notes from yesterday and basically means DLSS is there to help your PC get the best possible performance at its peak usage, or more specifically, your GPU. So if your GPU is really chugging like 97 to 100% usage, then that's when DLSS will kick in. It will do some fancy AI maneuvering and tech stuff that I don't completely understand to make the game seem pretty similar, while the usage will go down significantly. The problem is that in high detail games like For Sure Escape from Tarkov, you are definitely going to notice that difference. And then what you need to do is then make the decision whether or not to play with your GPU in that current state with its high usage, or turn DLSS on and either extend the lifespan of your GPU, or I'm actually not really sure what that would be specifically. Again, I'm no expert, but DLSS does save usage on your GPU, so maybe you can use it to do something else while you're playing Tarkov. I don't know. So I eventually saw this working for myself, and you will too if you mess around a bit in offline raids with your settings. I strongly encourage all of you to grab your favorite loadout with a long-range optic and head to Reserve and Lighthouse. If your GPU is maxing out, then you're ready to start messing with DLSS. For those who don't know, a simple way of seeing your GPU usage is hitting Ctrl+Alt+Delete, then going to TaskManager, where you will have it right there in your processes. If you are getting 144 FPS or more, depending on your monitor, then you can start fine-tuning from there. Because if the game is already running very well, then again, like I mentioned before, you might not need DLSS unless you want your GPU to have less usage on it. Now, if you do have the 100% usage or close to it, and the game isn't running very well, that's when you want to start messing with DLSS. While you're fine-tuning your settings and you end up dropping off too much usage to your GPU, and then it ends up not being at its peak usage, then DLSS will stop working, so it really gets tough to mix and match from there. When you are using DLSS, personally, I think when in balanced or performance, it looks really bad when ADSing especially, while it does look pretty good when in quality, but that's just me. What I highly suggest is that you make sure not to forget what the game looks like when you are not using DLSS, because if you're like me, the game might be better without it. So if you are playing on a high to very high-end PC and are complaining that DLSS does not make the game run better for you, it's because you do not need it. It's like arguing that the colorblind mode doesn't make your game look better. It's because you're not colorblind, so you don't need it. If you are colorblind, then colorblind mode helps you play that game at the cost of color clarity, which shouldn't matter because you need it. Similar to how if you have a GPU that's struggling to play the game, DLSS will make you be able to play the game at the cost of smoothness and other stuff that happens with this fancy AI stuff, because it's cutting corners in some places to make the game run smoother. So if you don't want those corners to be cut, then don't have DLSS on, especially if your GPU can handle it. These are the settings that I've chosen to go with for now. With a very high-end PC, I just upgraded all this stuff, and you'll notice that I do not have DLSS on because it just looks better. And since I am not an expert with this stuff, if I see anyone that is an expert with this stuff post a settings video or anything like that, I will let you guys know. On top of all this, BSG have also said several times that they are continuing to work with DLSS and making changes as well as improvements here and there with it. Now for the hideout crafting changes, this is the list of items that can be reused in crafting, so if you're hoarding these, you better go and offload them as soon as you can, while the market for them is still kind of dropping. Either way, just at least sell them because you're not going to need too many of them anymore. However, do take note of the ones that don't always get reused, as there are a couple that depending on the craft, you will use them. Example being the filters, since you reuse them for the Aquamari in the Nutrition Center, but then actually use them for the air filters in the lavatory. Basically, any item that you would think would be dismantled or used up in order to craft the item that you are crafting will be used that way. Some crafts have also changed a bit, so the easy thing to do here is just go to your hideout and see what's what with your favorite crafts. Now moving on to the Rhino, it's pretty cool, and I found a couple of these in weapon cases around Tarkov already, so I don't think they're too rare. You can also pick them up at Skier level 3 and Jaeger level 2. The thing hits like a truck for what it is and can pretty easily cause heavy heavy bleeds, so it's just all around handy to have as a secondary. I use FMJ or hollow points, since you might get lucky with a visor for the FMJ while still putting down damage if you don't hit a visor. Then the hollow points have about a 1 in 3 chance to make them heavy bleed, but it's up to you. And to be clear, this is all with the 357 Magnum. There's the 9mm one, which of course the 9mm will act like 9mm usually does. However, that one is a 1x1, so you can stick it in your vest without taking up too much space if you wanted a handy extra gun. The repair kits are great and are very good at repairing high-level items technically for free. They will also level your weapon maintenance and repair skills, so over time they get even better the more that you use them. I suggest that if you find these, use them as much as possible. That's all I got now for my initial findings with this patch. I'm going to mess around more with my settings, and I advise you guys to do the same. For what it's worth, I actually think that this is a good thing that we're dealing with this now, because imagine if the problems with DLSS and everyone scrambling to figure out how it works was happening while we were trying to figure out the new trader or get blown up by the new bosses on Lighthouse. I'm not actually sure what's going on with the rest of the stuff that was supposed to be in this patch, but I am actually assuming that it's in the soon stage. As always, I will keep an eye out for anything new and let you guys know more once I do. Until then though, for the latest Tarkov news, check out these playlists here. If you like this video, then you know the drill. Please subscribe. I really appreciate the people who do. If you are looking for people to play with, check out our Discord. Links in the description if you're interested. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day. See you guys.